Today I am going to make a new video, so please subscribe.
The Modern Warfare 2 Platinum Trophy consists of 25 trophies with an average completion rate of 0.2%. Now, this is mostly due to the typical COD player not enjoying the game and just crying in Warzone. Anyways, the first trophy to hunt after is cutting heads off snakes. You can obtain it by beating the entire campaign on Veteran or Realism. And let me just tell you right now, this is awful. We begin our horrible journey into the depths of hell with a normal training exercise and blow up a ton of totally innocent Russians. Two words that should never go together. This is my second time buying the game, but child support can wait. Mom and Dad argue about politics and her cooking for about 3 hours, and we end up behind enemy lines in a classic Call of Duty night vision mission because everything looks good in the dark. Especially your mother last night. After scuttling around in the dark wild for a few minutes, we end up in an enemy base, and I get my head removed from my body almost immediately. For some odd reason, I thought it was daytime and just removed my night vision from myself, nerfing my skills since I wanted to make it even more difficult than it already is. Intimidating the enemy is a major part of war, so I made sure to show them my flashbangs in the house by missing 4 times in a row and visiting Jesus. The boys then have to defend a crashed plane of ours from angry black men running at us from the rice fields. I eventually realized after dying many times that I should just let my fellow soldiers do some work for once, since I am usually the one sacrificing myself for the country. Veteran difficulty is sometimes ridiculous, and this area in the first mission will show you right away how much suffering you are going to endure in this game. But once I got done being punished, we found a missile, and that bastard shepherd had the spite in his soul to act like he was worried for 1 second about the missiles being used in enemy hands. We all know what you did!
I'm very disgusted, to be quite honest with you.
Mom and Dad argue about why Dad is already bald even though he's a ripe age of 725. And they punish us not with a beating, but by sending us to Europe. Shockingly, I can swim, and I am overwhelmed with joy, so I go and kill a ton of people underwater like a true gamer. We then hijack a boat full of Mexicans in it. Sounds like they took a wrong way to freedom. After we get dried off, Mom took us on a road trip to a beautiful place in Europe, and in order to cope with the beauty of the country, as a jealous American, I went and started killing people. With the COVID vaccine, of course, and kidnapped a local for ransom. Mom and Dad didn't have anything else left to say to each other, so they just decided to send us over to the fucking border and said good luck. I actually got to experience something I never knew would be so much fun. Jumping over the US-Mexico border. No wonder they do it all the time. Such an adrenaline rush. But the fun ended there because we found a ton of illegal immigrants in a house and I accidentally killed a woman. But for the love of God, why would you run out into battle with a gun to surrender? It just doesn't make sense, woman. Shortly after, I paid for my war crimes and burned to death. But wait! Daddy Alejandro saved my sorry ass from eternal damnation. God, he's such a sexy man. What the fuck? In war, it's always important to find time to bond with your fellow soldiers, because at the end, you're most likely going to be catching a bullet and bleeding out with them. So, me and the boys do just that and take a culturally exposing trip into the streets of the most normal town in Mexico. Once they realize we are there, they send the entire cartel after us and make us run downhill. Very testing on the ankles, and I end up ceasing to exist many times. My poor PS5 controller has already been through so much in its time, it can barely make me jump over a small gap, and I died more times to this parkour than I did in the whole entire first mission. We get sniped at by swag from miles away. Thank God he's on controller and has no real aim, allowing us to jump into the water. After hiding behind rocks and deathly fear of the angry men shooting at us, we get saved by Philip Graves. Get it? Fill up Graves. Yeah, I didn't laugh either. This next part of the game has got to be the most boring campaign mission I've ever played in any game ever. You quite literally just sit there in a multi-million-dollar taxpayer ship and raise your KD with almost no threat to you. Some people might find this fun, but to me it was so dragged out and it felt like it lasted forever with no real purpose or impact on my life. Unlike the Kim Kardashian Roblox tape. But after 34 years we won, I guess, and kidnapped this poor bald man for no reason since we can't actually take him legally. It's a war crime. Again. Who would have thought? And following up that super fun mission, we get to do another super fun mission where we prone shuffle our little nutsacks across the ground for miles in a Halloween costume, sniping at any poor bastard who dares peek his little head towards us. I actually did this mission so well, I got a trophy for it. Who would have thought Its Ilusion of all gamers will be awarded for stealth in a video game? Mom was dumb enough to stay in the ship the whole time and not actually help the cause, so I wasn't mad when she got stolen right in front of us from the angry men on boats. Shockingly enough, the next mission we go and save her. Wow! I know, right? Such intuitive game design and very unpredictable. Nonetheless, this mission is actually a lot of fun since we don't just walk to an objective and shoot people. Instead, we race cars into each other and die over and over again. I think this mission was one of the most frustrating ones for me simply because of the armor AI enemy who has more HP than Lizzo herself. That one man ruined my day and made me question committing some war crimes myself. But eventually we caught up to Mom. I don't know how that's even possible considering I had to jump multiple cars, fell out of a helicopter, and fucking died. but it is just a game. Have you ever seen a gay Mexican cartel leader? Well, if you haven't, let me introduce you to Diego, our next contestant on Bachelor War Crime Edition. Diego is a fine man with a strut like no other. No man out there could ever dare compare to this absolute specimen. But guys, be careful, because if you don't do everything Diego says, he will beat the shit out of you. Well, now that the fun is done with Diego, we get to go capture wifey Valeria, who is honestly the baddest female they've ever put in the COD. We had Mara in Modern Warfare, which was nice, but Valeria just got something more realistic about her, and it really pisses me off that, as far as I know, she still isn't an operator with cat ears in Modern Warfare 2 yet. Remember that oil rig scene from Superman? I can't believe he saved all those men with just himself. I tried to do the same thing, but instead I fucking died over and over and slowly degraded into a primal creature and nearly lost my shit on this mission. Also, I remember there was a trophy for killing a poor guy taking a dump, so I did that while in the midst of dying a ton. You always gotta make time for the important things, you know? This part right here I remember being so funny at launch because all the idiots who play COD for fun didn't know what rows and columns were and couldn't do such a simple task. But I am not such a person and did it with such ease, like a genius or a normally educated person. Grave and Shepard both betrayed us, but I skipped the cutscene because it will never compare to the original betrayal that happened in the good Modern Warfare 2 game.
That's one less loose end.
The alone mission truly does remind me how little social life I have, but honestly it's great. I get to spend lots of times with virtual characters on games, and suffer greatly with the rest of my life. Anyways, this mission is well known as one of the hardest in the whole game, and honestly, it wasn't horrible at the start, but once you reach the coffee shop, there is just so many enemies. I don't even know how you would do it without raising the alarm or being seen. And the very end, when you're going to the church, was so awful because of the armored people. They're the only enemies there. I found that the only way to do it is just blow them up and burn them alive, like Al-Qaeda would do to us in the Middle East before Biden stepped in. Also, reaching the glorious pickup truck is done by just throwing down a ton of smoke bombs and pretending not to be there, like I do whenever my girl's arguing with her family. A true classic move from your boy. Breaking someone out of prison always seemed like such an easy task. Just show up, bomb the place, and cause so much chaos that the poor guards don't even know that they aren't prisoners also. But in this game, the best strategy is to just sit there with a riot shield in the corner and eat your lunch while it's still hot to gain sustenance to continue on with the endless torture that is Modern Warfare 2. But I did finally get another trophy for hitting 3 angry men back into place with an impenetrable shield. Just like my heart. Finally, we are in the last mission area for the game. It hasn't been too long in all honesty, but then again, most COD campaigns aren't really 20 or even 15-hour games. They're usually quick and at least somewhat satisfactory.
That's what she said.
We begin this torture by being dropped off in the middle of a goddamn war zone. This mission is very similar to that one of the good Modern Warfare 2 campaign, where you raid all the Russian burger places and, you know, all that stuff. But in this one, we just die over and over and want to kill ourselves after 5 minutes. Honestly, if I didn't have a riot shield, I might have just opened my window and jumped out. Oh my god! This mission does a cool swap thing where you play as half the Suicide Squad and then swap back to the other half. Pretty cool if you ask me, almost as much as berating fat people. Oh, yeah. But playing as the other two was much different than playing as Ghost because we aren't allowed to kill everyone, and we must be stealthy or else the big black men will kill us in short increments of time. This was actually surprisingly easy, and I didn't die once. Shockingly. We swap back over to the boys for the pre-finale of the game and get hunted by Graves in his big-ass tank. Shockingly, it only took like 2 good hits with a C4 to kill him, even on veteran mode, which was a big surprise. And then we have finally reached the conclusion of the game after years of suffering, but only a few hours. But it isn't over, and I am just gonna jump to the last part because most of this just consists of me dying over and over until I found a riot shield and then I just hid. The last part is kind of just a makeshift version of the alone mission, just in a really small scale. And I actually did it fairly quick. It almost seemed different than the first time I did it. Like, I don't even know how I did it, but I did it good and I only died like twice, which was nice. To end off the glorious campaign of Modern Warfare 2, we snipe a bald man in the head. It seems to be a reoccurring theme in this game with the villains. Everyone's just bald. But I got the trophy, so that's cool. But you don't get to rest because that was the easy part. Now we get to go back and do all these fucking retarded objectives, in which one cost me my first ever smashed controller when gaming on the PS5. Honestly though, it's a canon event, so it's fine. The first trophy I chased after was on the mission we just did, but you have to kill the enemies in the windows without them shooting. So you have to basically finish real fast like a real man. Wasn't that hard, but it never is.
What do you mean by that?
Next up was a very annoying one where you have to shoot all the training dummies in the tank battle with Graves. Now doing that itself did take a few tries because it kept on leaving one and not knowing where it was, but getting there you had to play the whole fucking mission over again, which took like 30 minutes to get back to begin with. But I got it after a while, and I didn't get too angry, just slightly annoyed with my life. But that slight annoyance was multiplied immensely in the next trophy I went for. No time to lose. Complete the CCTV sequence in under 4 minutes. By the way, the leeway time is like 10 seconds, so you have to do this fucking sequence with absolute precision or else you just lose and have to reset. It took me a solid hour to do this, and by the end, I was so focused in, I reached a new level of gaming I haven't seen for myself in forever. But at least now I am a master at this stupid part of the game. There is another trophy on the same level where you have to gas the enemy like a Jew and then punish him for being alive just like Hitler would have done. I think the devs at COD really just want us to suffer because they release these somewhat decent campaigns and then do fuck all in the multiplayer and Warzone part of the game. But they leave us with trophies like Gunless on Alone where you have to do the entire mission without shooting a bullet at an enemy. You can throw bombs and everything, but you can't shoot a bullet. And you already know how hard this mission is. Almost as hard as mine. Hey, yo! But I did it somehow. I honestly don't know. Another annoying mission is the gay cartel leader Diego's mission. We have to reach the penthouse without being seen or raising alarm. Sounds easy, but even on recruit, it took me another solid hour to do it because the last guy kept on seeing me over and over again. This stupid game makes you do every mission from the dry-ass beginning. Like, there's no way at all to avoid doing the intro, which is pretty much always just them talking around and walking around you and all just so I could sneak up to a random room and open a safe I missed. Don't touch the deck. Arguably one of the most ridiculous things I have ever done in my time playing video games. You have to cross the entire ship without touching the ground once. And if you mess up, you have to reset the mission because you can't just go back and try again. It won't track it. This dead ass took me 2 hours and I raged so much I smashed my controller a singular time. I picked it up, smashed it one time on the table, and it fucking broke. PlayStation, we gotta make this controller stronger, like seriously, one smash. Anyways, I drove to Best Buy, picked up a blue one, drove back, got the trophy after 2 tries. Next up on the kill list is to drive our first car in the car mission all the way to the end when Captain Price touches us. This was pretty easy as I'm used to old men and their hands going where they should have. In the same car mission, we have to swap cars 5 times to different cars. Convenient enough, there isn't even 5 different car types on the road. There's only 4, and we have to literally pull over to the side, hop out, and steal a civilian car. Just more war crimes. We return to the water mission and have to not be seen, a true classic among COD games, making it an actual challenge for once, forcing us to be stealthy. I would love it if they did this as a normal objective once, like you actually have to be stealthy or else they fail. We also had to shoot 3 enemies while underwater, which is barely a challenge, and I'm kind of shocked I didn't do it on accident while playing normally. Well, that is the entire campaign done, and these sons of bitches really forced us to play co-op. This is my first time ever playing co-op in a COD, and it's kind of fun. The only thing I have to complain about is there isn't a lot of missions. There's like 3, which is kind of sad. It's so simple to make them. You just make an objective, and you just put AI in. It's really not that hard. But I did really bad at first in co-op. It took me like an hour to get the hang of it, mostly because you have to do a lot of stealth, and the AI are very strong. They're not quite on veteran difficulty, but it's like just below it, so you at least have a chance. Anyway, some of these trophies took a while until I got the hang of it, and me and the boy got them nailed out pretty fast. Shout out to my boy Mr. Pug for helping me out. It was a big assist in me not losing my shit at 2 a.m. yesterday. And yeah, that is the Modern Warfare 2 Platinum Trophy. Probably the most I have ever played this game in a week, and I don't plan on ever doing that again. If you want to see me platinum more COD games or just other shooters in general, make sure to drop a like and comment so the algorithm promotes this video more.